I welcome you all to our meeting today. Yeah, this is our first segment of a meeting series of meetings that helps us men cope with our mental health struggles, how we can be stronger, how we can be more resilient. I was just telling Nova when he joined that we as men sometimes have this superhero complex where we do not tend to open up to our friends, to our families when we're going through a tough time. We could be seriously in debt, we could be seriously struggling with maybe family issues, but we'll just try to put our brave face on and appear to the world that everything is fine, only to find that somebody is contemplating suicide because they have no support system. And us as men compared to women sometimes have a system or a way in which they talk to each other about their problems. They talk about the relationship challenges they're going through, financial problems. They're very open to talk, and sometimes that tends to help them in their recovery process in dealing with some of these problems. Yeah, but we too as men, we have the potential to rise, to be stronger and be better pillars of our society. Yeah, so we can be better fathers, better brothers, better sons, and we can be able to end the silent struggle. So today we're talking about ending the silent struggle. I'll be talking about two important things. That's burnout and depression. Yeah, burnout and depression. So us being the the men of society who people look up to provide, to give direction to our families and all, it isn't easy, and we are prone to things like burnout. So I want us to understand this concept of burnout so that we can be able to better manage it, because really it's something that we are prone to, because we have so much pressure on us to provide, to give direction, and we just get so overwhelmed. So according to definitions in health literature, burnout is falling performance and personal accomplishments, emotional exhaustion, negative affect, or your general emotional well-being. You just look sad and low. Poor leadership due to months or years of exposure to emotionally demanding situations at work, at the battlefield, or at home. So this is a situation, this burnout is a state of being in which an individual is basically overwhelmed. You are so taxed by the work, by your responsibilities, that you start to perform poorly. Maybe you're a very hard worker at your work, you're delivering, on your objectives, you're a high performer, high achiever at school. You're really, doing the best. But all of a sudden, you start to decline in your performance, you start to feel emotionally drained, you start feeling like, work is just overwhelming. You don't even want to wake up and go to work anymore because you're just feeling so drained and so exhausted. And it really tends to mimic depression, and can even be a signal that you may need to be assessed for things like depression, because that same low performance can also start making you feel even worse. So how do we pick it out when we have some of these signs? These are some of the signs of burnout: stress and depression, fatigue, non-restorative sleep, emotional exhaustion, decreased motivation, insomnia, guilt and denial, indecision, temper tantrums, low personal accomplishments. So when you are burnt out, you really feel overwhelmed. Like I've said, you feel fatigued, you just feel so drained. And this is because we are continually going forward and doing the work we need to do without taking time to be restored, to be revitalized. So when we are you're welcome, Dr. Isaac and others who have joined us. So we're just looking at burnout and depression. Yes. So we've mentioned that burnout, according to literature, is decreased performance, feeling of exhaustion, feeling of guilt, and low self-esteem and personal accomplishments due to overwhelming stress and demanding work that we are exposed to. So burnout is one of the things that can be a warning signal when we have these signs of just feeling so drained and emotionally, physically, mentally exhausted. We might want to be assessed if we might be having signs of a mental health condition like depression, for instance. So as men, we're providers. Society expects so much of us, and when we don't have money, we become stressed out, and we are pushed to really push ourselves to the limit, and we might even be forced to enter debt, and we'll really be put under so much pressure, and society is expecting us to still keep performing. However, what I want us to learn today is that we need to have some grace with ourselves. Let us understand that we're not superhumans, we're not superheroes, we are only human, and we need to take time off. We need to find time to relax. We shouldn't spend too much time working such that we don't even have time to sleep. We need to have adequate sleep so that we are restored and we're able to be re-energized. We need to be able to take care of our health. When we feel we are physically, emotionally drained, we can take time off. You do the hobbies that you are interested in. If you love sports, don't be just so busy with work that you have no time for sports. Do something that is outside your normal routine so that you can be refreshed and be revitalized. So burnout is one of the things which, if not checked out or kept in check, will really lead to serious mental health problems. So we need to really be aware of it and be able to manage it so that it does not spiral out of control. So once you have seen these signs of burnout in your life, where you just feel exhausted, drained, you just don't have motivation to go to work or do anything, you're so stressed out, you need to pause and try to realign your priorities. Try to be more deliberate about your life so that you don't get overwhelmed. You need to take time for your hobbies, like I've mentioned, and do nice things for yourself. If you need to take yourself out, you need to go out with your loved ones, do that so that you have time to refresh. And of course, it might also be a sign that there could be an underlying illness, mental health illness like depression, and we'll give a few signs of depression as well, because burnout is more like once you have been so severely stressed out and overwhelmed by life's responsibilities, you can spiral into a state of being depressed. So it's important that if you have signs of burnout, you might want to be assessed. Yeah, and how you're assessed, you can be able to see a mental health professional. Like at Adulam Therapy, we have therapists who are able to hear you out and find out if you're showing those signs of depression, and if you may need to be assisted in that area, or if it's maybe anxiety. Our professionals are able to assess and to hear how you have been feeling, how you've been sleeping, how you've been eating, how your mood has been over time. So seeing a professional will definitely help you to manage burnout and help you to just realign your priorities. And of course, you need to have time to to have your social interactions, because sometimes when you're busy working, you may not have time for family. There was one interesting quote I came across recently, which was saying that your place at work is completely replaceable. Somebody can replace you in an instant. You lose your health, you lose your job, another person will replace you. But when you have been lost at home because of maybe you lose your life and you're not there anymore, that vacuum cannot be replaced, because your real life is actually at home. You're irreplaceable at home. So we should take time for those social activities, so that we are there to spend time with those who we love, and we are not overwhelmed. Certain professions like medical professions tend to have a lot of work responsibilities and tend to have higher risks of burnout. And it's important that these people, engage themselves in various hobbies, engaged in actions which involve physical activity, going for walks, going for runs, doing something outside the normal routine, not just you wake up, you go to work, you come back, repeat. No, you need to do something to get physically active. It helps you in dealing with burnout. And you need to have time to just have vacations. That's why people give you days for leave. And even certain organizations, they give you a period of time where at the end of the year you go on a vacation. Maybe it's a Christmas break. Don't just continue working. Have that time to rest, refresh, and get back into your work cycle after you've been relieved, because that's really what will take you into a state of burnout. You are going towards E, but you're still pushing yourself to your limit, but your body physically, mentally needs to have a breather. That's why even in religious literature, like in the Bible, you find that there's a story of creation where God created the world in 6 days and he rested on the seventh day. And this is a God who we say created us human beings, and he knows us anatomy inside and out. He knows that our bodies were designed for rest. Even a machine that's completely overworked, even a car, after a certain period you need to service it. So even us, our bodies, we need that time to refresh, to revitalize, to really get back into focus. And you find that our productivity will skyrocket after that, because when you are burnt out, your performance actually begins to reduce. You are pushing in so much, but your performance keeps going lower and lower. You're feeling exhausted. You're not providing proper leadership and direction. You are basically exhausted. So you need to really find time to refresh and revitalize. So these are some of the tips that and approaches that can help you to manage burnout. You need to have hobbies that refresh your mind. You need to have physical activities that help you to physically engage and just have that physical restoration, and the energy, the blood flowing through your brain, your muscles, your entire system will actually give you some sense of relief, especially if your work is mostly to do with the mind. So if you're somebody who works mostly with your mind, you want to do something that will physically keep you engaged. If you are doing your work involves a lot of physical activity, you want to do something that will involve less physical activity, maybe something that will engage your mind. So it depends on what kind of work you do. So have vacations, spend time with family. Religious activities, actually, in literature has been mentioned to be important when it comes to dealing with burnout. Have time to go to church if you are religious. Have a time to just, have that spiritual reconnection. It has also been shown to help in people who are dealing with burnout. And another thing that helps is your relationship, your personal relationships at home. Like I've said already, you need to be connected with your family, with your children. Just have that peace at home. connect with those people, talk to them, share your problems and your burdens with those who you trust, so that whatever struggles and frustrations you're feeling, you are able to have a listening ear. And if that listening ear is not there at home, sometimes we fail to connect with people who are around us. You can always seek a professional to speak to you, so that you are able to manage burnout. Yeah, so these are some of the things that will help you to get back into track, so that you don't reach a point where you develop a mental illness because you're not resting, and your performance itself will be stressing you out because you're not doing as much as you used to. So take time to rest, take time to eat. Even eating sometimes, as men, it's a problem. Maybe those who are married, sometimes their wives can encourage them to eat, but let's find time to take care of ourselves. Let's eat shima, let's eat healthy foods. Let's not maybe drown ourselves in alcohol, maybe to just reduce the stress. Then again the cycle continues. Let's make time to take care of ourselves. Yeah, otherwise burnout is something real. And personally, just from personal experience, there was a time when I was still a medical student, I was really pushing myself to the limit. I remember that time I was in obs and gyn, and I was in one of the toughest units at my hospital. So I really pushed myself to the limit. I was really working overtime. Over the weekend, I used to go to church, but I had to. Some weekdays were on the weekend, so I had to work as well over the weekend. I was studying so much, and I just felt so drained by the end of that 3 month period of rotation. Maybe it's just the nature of the study that I was doing, but that's the more reason why you need to find time to rest. One day out of the week is always good for resting. I thought maybe I will just put in all I can, I'll perform better, I'll do better. But in the end I realized I was being drained, I was being exhausted, I was becoming more depressed in a sense, and I realized, okay, this is not safe. I was becoming anxious. On the word, you're always being what we use as medical students is being percussed by your superiors, and you're just overwhelmed. Yeah, otherwise we talked about burnout, which is something which women can be prone to, because we tend to work hard, we tend to put in our best to provide, but we also need to find time to rest and find time to refresh, so that we can be able to get back into shape. Yeah, so burnout is basically you being overwhelmed, physically, emotionally, mentally. Yeah, but it's not a disease per se, but it's a risk factor that can make you be prone to certain illnesses, such as depression. Yeah, so depression itself, just to give you an overview of it, it's a mental health mood disorder that is characterized by feelings of low mood, anhedonia. Anhedonia is a medical term for loss of interest or pleasure in the things you used to do previously. And you also have fatigue and other symptoms that I'll look into. So these intense feelings of low mood, lack of pleasure or interest in the things you used to love to do, and it carries on for a period of greater than the minimum is 2 weeks. If you are feeling symptoms which are in that cluster of depressed mood, you're feeling low, you're lacking interest in the things you used to do, you're feeling fatigued, these are some core symptoms, and some other ones as well I'll highlight soon. And you're having this lasting for more than 2 weeks, and without a specific cause which might be triggering it. Maybe let's say you lost a loved one, you maybe you were fired at work because you have what you call adjustment disorders, where you you are trying to recuperate from a certain loss or tragedy, and it's only normal or human to feel such feelings. And according to research, 40% of us human beings experience intense feelings of low mood or unhappiness and disappointment, which resolve without clinical intervention. But clinical depression is different from depressive symptoms, because this clinical depression is something which will more like persist and is not going to resolve, because naturally after 2 weeks, if you've lost, let's say, a job, you've been fired, the normal situation is you're going to feel bad, but as you get that support from family, by 2 weeks later, generally you should feel better. But if you're having feelings of low mood, loss of pleasure or interest in the things you used to do, you're feeling fatigued, and other symptoms are you would have loss of appetite, you have loss of sleep, you have decreased sexual drive, you have feelings of worthlessness or guilt, you can even have sorts of thoughts of suicide. So when you have these symptoms which are lasting for more than 2 weeks, you actually, without any specific cause, like medical cause or certain situation that may be causing it, or maybe it can be refractory to these things, because somebody may have lost a loved one, somebody may have had an experience which is tragic, and they might not recover after 2 weeks. They're just continuously in this state of where they're feeling depressed or having a low mood. In fact, that's why it's called depression. Like, for example, if you look at a flat surface and there's a dent, there's more like a depression. So it's like your mood is low for most of the day, almost every day you're feeling like that, and lasts for more than 2 weeks, and you are not getting better. Then these are the criteria that you actually use to diagnose if somebody is depressed. And they can be mildly depressed, they can be moderately depressed, they can be severely depressed. And according to ICD-10, which is one of the criteria we use for depression, if somebody has two core symptoms, that's depression, anhedonia, fatigue, and two other symptoms such as poor appetite. There's actually a mnemonic that I normally like to use to help people remember. That mnemonic is SIGECAPS, SIGECAPS. I'll ask Dr. Matanda to share the mnemonic in the chat. So S is for your sleep. So you find that somebody will have a poor sleep, maybe they're sleeping too much or they're sleeping too little. Yeah, so you have insomnia. So that's one of the other symptoms that you may have. I is for interest, the interest in things that you used to love to do. There's decreased interest in the things that you used to love to do. So that's the same anhedonia. You just are interested. You used to love playing soccer, you used to love, playing with your friends, going out with your friends. Maybe you used to love going to church, but you're no longer interested in those things. So there's a decrease in your interest in the things you used to love to do. G is for guilt. You are feeling guilty all the time. You're feeling worthless, like you're not worth it. You're just you're just a failure. You're not doing your best as a son, as a father, as a student. You just feel a low self-worth and you're feeling guilty. So that's what the G is for. The E is for your energy levels. You have that fatigue, that feeling tired almost all the time, and that low energy level is actually one of the signs of depression, because you're just feeling overwhelmed. So your energy levels are also a sign of depression. It's something from the mind, but it's having an impact. It's a psychomotor effect of being depressed. You are just feeling to be low in your energy levels. And C is for concentration. You have no concentration when you're at work, when you are, you can't be focused. You're in class, but your mind is, maybe you're thinking about that financial problem, that family problem. You just can't seem to focus. So that's your concentration levels are also disturbed. A is for appetite. Your appetite is so bad. You're eating too much or eating too little. So poor appetite is also one of the risk factors, one of the signs of depression. You can have somebody who has poor appetite, or maybe there are some people who stress eat. They're stressed and they're eating so much. And the P is also for psychomotor retardation. Somebody would just be isolated. They're isolating themselves. They don't want to move. They just want to be in bed all day. So it's really a major sign. Actually, if somebody who used to love to go out, they just want to be in bed all day, they don't want to do anything, then you should start thinking, saying, check up on them. Are they doing fine? Because this is not their normal behavior. So psychomotor retardation and that isolation comes out. Then the S is for suicidality. Somebody who may have suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations, thinking to say, maybe if I just disappeared from here, I would be happier. Why can't I just, disappear? You start entertaining deaths, thoughts of death and non-existence. So those are more like the summary of the core symptoms that somebody with depression may experience. And the core symptoms are depressed mood, anhedonia, which is loss of interest and pleasure in the things you used to love to do, and fatigue, and others such as the poor appetite, disrupted sleep, psychomotor retardation, and also feelings of guilt. All those are under the other symptoms. So if you have two core symptoms and two other symptoms, let's say depressed mood, like I said, the term depression comes from depressed mood. So depression is one of the core symptoms. Second symptom, loss of pleasure and things you used to love to do. And the other core symptom is fatigue. So if you have at least two core symptoms and two other symptoms like appetite, loss of concentration, psychomotor irritation, such things place you in the mild category. If you have two core symptoms and three or more other symptoms, you be placed in the moderate category. So you'd have about 5 symptoms when you combine all of them together. Then severe is when you have 3 core symptoms and more than 4 other core symptoms. So when you combine all those, you find that when somebody is severely depressed, they will have almost everything in that mnemonic I've given you. But if they have fewer, maybe about 5 of those symptoms, you find that they may be in the moderate. If they have maybe 2 or 3, they could be in the mild category. So these are the symptoms of depression, and these are the things that we look for when we're trying to find out if somebody is depressed or not. And there are things that you should be able to ask yourself and think about. Am I showing this loss of happiness, low mood, and I'm not doing the things I used to love? Is my appetite okay? Am I thinking of suicidal thoughts? Suicidal thoughts are really, really not the best, because sometimes people who don't even really want to die, they want to live, but their life is just so overwhelming that they think that death is the way out. But people can recover and they stop feeling like this anymore. So once you've been assessed by a professional, because this is a professional diagnosis, you'd want to be assessed. We have a mental health assessment tool which has been shared in our group. It's actually Mental Health America. If you check for Mental Health America test, the self-testing kit, I could say, online for depression. So you can check that and you'll be able to see if you're at risk for it actually places you if you're in the mild, moderate, or severe category after you answer a certain questionnaire. So if you find yourself in the mild, moderate, or severe category, you may want to, explore the options for treatment, which may include, for mild, most of the time it's therapy, talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and some of these physical exercise interventions that can help you to just get back to your normal self and help you to realize that you can overcome whatever stressors that might be really making you feel like it's impossible to solve. Because even just recently, I don't know if you heard about the UNILA student who committed suicide. It's a really sad development, and one of the things that was really stressing him out was financial struggles. He had, I think, a debt of about 80,000 kwacha. He had trusted some friends. I was trying to read the story to help him procure a vehicle, but that friend somehow disappeared with the car, and he was swindled basically. And in that situation of stress, he might have been thinking, say, oh no, how am I going to repay all my creditors and whatnot? The best way out is just to end my life. So certain negative thoughts can be challenged through cognitive behavioral therapy and help that person to realize that your life is valuable, and family are able to assist you to deal with this challenge. Your life is more valuable than the money that may have been lost. And we have social support mechanisms that are available to assist you so that you do not take this path. So CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, talk therapy will actually help a lot in helping somebody to recover. So that's for mostly mild. Moderate, it's also similar, but sometimes we may also give antidepressants to help somebody just to cope. But it's not all the time that we'll give antidepressants, because they also have some side effects. Sometimes they may decrease your sex drive, and but of course there are newer and newer antidepressants being developed, and it's not always that those side effects come about. But when we do a cost benefit analysis, eventually sometimes we still give these antidepressants. So that's for moderate depression. For severe, most of the time we do give an antidepressant, and also engage that person in longer and more intensive talk therapy sessions, which may be even reaching up to 12 sessions. The milder the depression, the less sessions will be required to give that person some relief. So these are some of the treatment modalities, and of course other things can help somebody to start to feel better. Generally, there are relaxation techniques like mindfulness, helping you just to relax and have some peace of mind. Prayer for somebody who's religious. Going to church, actually, I remember a time when I was feeling really, really down, and just going to church, listening to the music at church, singing. Music therapy is very real. I recommend music. You can definitely find yourself a lot of peace, a lot of healing when you engage in such spiritual activities. Mindfulness, spiritual reconnection can really help you to get back on board, even as you deal with burnout, you deal with depression, so that you are not overwhelmed, so that you can be able to get back to your normal self. Otherwise, depression is one of those conditions which is very much treatable, and you can definitely be able to be cured. Of course, some people have long-standing depression. Sometimes it may be familial. There are also some genes linked to depression. Sometimes it's familial, and there's still research going on. So you find that those people sometimes tend to have it chronic. It may be there's a condition that's called dysthymia, which is low-grade depression, which may last for about a year. So sometimes people may have those conditions where the depression is just lasting a bit longer. But if they're proactive to maintain social connections, engage in therapy when they really have a low moment, they can be able to thrive. Yeah, and even not depend on medication as much. Yeah, placebo studies show that sometimes those who just have therapy, exercise, may do as well as those who are not on medication for the mild and moderate depression. Yeah, so um, but just the placebo effect, just the fact that somebody is taking something, it also helps, yeah, to improve. And of course, there are scientific studies that have shown that they increase the serotonin levels, which helps somebody to feel happier, and that's one of the mechanisms of the SSRI, serotonin selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which are the antidepressants which are given first line. So these are some of the things that can help you to really start getting better. Those lifestyle changes will really get you up and going. Social interaction, um, getting to connect with your family, friends, doing those hobbies that are important, spiritual connection, going to church, music, poetry. Poetry has also shown to have a positive impact on people's minds. I've actually done a lot of poetry, written some things in my diary, which really helped me to have some release when it came to those. Sometimes, when you have so much intense emotions inside of you, you need to have an outlet for it, and that outlet sometimes can be poetry. That outlet sometimes um, can be music. That outlet can be sharing with your therapist, sharing with your loved one. So as you talk to somebody, many of the clients I've spoken to, they've actually felt so much better just after the first session. Second session, they're already improving. Yeah, third session, sometimes by the fourth session they are even feeling, say, I don't think I need therapy anymore, I'm feeling fine. And as a therapist, you feel so glad to say, okay, this person who was so low, so down, is now believing in themselves, they're ready to get back into the ring of life. Yeah, otherwise, um, it's just statistics to end, and I'll invite any questions. Statistics show that about 5% of men experience depression worldwide, and 9.5% of women experience depression worldwide, and it affects about 300 million people. So it's something which is quite important, because it's a risk factor. Like I said, one of the S's there is suicide. It can make somebody start feeling suicidal, and it's one of the things we want to intervene as therapists to help somebody to deal with such dark thoughts. Because when you're having such dark thoughts, you don't even want to tell anyone. But we want to end the struggle as men, the silent struggle. We don't want to struggle on our own, but we want to share these burdens with our loved ones, with a professional, so that, yeah, we do not do the worst. Because men, though they have lower incidence of depression, they tend to have worse outcomes in terms of suicide. The levels of suicide are much higher than for women. So let's speak out. Let's talk to one another, and let's not be afraid to seek help, because that's the first step to healing and to recovery. When we are brave enough to speak up, speak to somebody, and we'll definitely be able to cope. If you need a therapist, we have therapists at Adulam Therapy. We have been having a magazine that we're launching soon, which I encourage us to read, so that we can hear the lived experiences of other people who have gone through something similar. Otherwise, I'll end here for now, and I hope we've learned one or two things. I don't know if you have any additions, any questions, even as we come to the close of our meeting. Do we have anything? Talked about burnout, talked about depression, and how we as men should, be able to speak out and seek help. It's not a sign of weakness if somebody is depressed or seeks help. Mwamuna Samalila, that's the narrative we are all told, that we need to be strong as men. Yes, we should be strong, we are the people our families are depending on, but we should be also ready to seek help, to speak out when we need to, and it will help. That steam or that intense emotional energy needs to have an outlet. So without an outlet, you actually self-destruct. So you need to find an outlet, yeah, so that you can be able to tame those emotions when they are weighing you down. Any thoughts from our audience? Any questions? Dr. Matanda, do you have anything? We have about 2 minutes to go. Alright, okay, that's great. Mr. Adrian, Mr. David, anything? We are the men of the house, the men of the moment. So, yeah, I hope we have learned something, and that we will not struggle alone. Yeah, we are here for one another. That's why we have the group. We're going through a hard time. Let's just share, and we'll encourage each other. Yeah, some of these things that life brings to us can be so overwhelming: financial struggles, relationship challenges. Yeah, there's so much that can really weigh us down. Physical health as well. Yeah, but together we can do something about these struggles. Yeah, otherwise, if there's no additional thought, we'll meet again next week, and hopefully we can have some people come on board to also share some insights about different aspects of how we as men can sort out some of these challenges we face, even as we hope to end the struggle, the silent struggle. Let us be more open, let us talk about how we feel, and we will thrive, and we will be the men that we have always hoped to be, and that society expects us to be. Otherwise, have a good night, and thank you all for coming through and for participating.